This channel supports Extra Life in its efforts to raise money for the Children's Miracle Network. For more information about how to donate and join in their efforts, go to the link displayed here. Extra Life. Play games, heal kids. What up, everybody? This is your boy Black Magus, and E3 is here. This is the time where gamers get extra hype because we're all looking for these big announcements by the major companies in gaming. New games, new IPs are introduced. The next and great sequels that we are fans of are introduced. There's always some surprise or some big shock. And of course, the constant, ever-going, unnecessary console war wages on as Sony and Microsoft take stage on the Monday of E3 and try to one-up each other to make each one's fan bases scream and shout in like utter joy about who won and all this other nonsense stuff that I could care less about. For me personally, E3 is about seeing what's coming out, what's new, what might be interesting, what I might want to spend my money on later on this year or in the future. And that's pretty much all it should be about. So if you're about that fanboy stuff, please get off it. It's tired. It's lame. This year's E3 though is going to be kind of interesting because we have the pretty much confirmed at this point. Sony's confirmed theirs. Microsoft hasn't already confirmed theirs, but it's a strong possibility that both companies will be introducing new variations of their current consoles. Not necessarily new consoles, but upgraded versions of the current ones. Something that we don't really see in console gaming. Yeah, there have been add-ons and things like that, such as you've had, Sega with the 32 drive, the CD-ROM drive attachment, things like that. There have been slight changes, certain pieces of hardware or features pulled, or added, but nothing major like this where we're actually getting a piece of equipment that is going to have, I guess you could say, some significant differences. If I were to go on into detail, you'd realize a lot of these differences that they're coming up with probably aren't as big as they could be. Not as big as a leap from one generation to the next in consoles, but it's big enough where they're going to have a full price on these devices. And I'm not happy about it, but there's some people who are excited about it. They've been saying that you're not going to hear or see these things at E3. At least Sony has said that. Microsoft hasn't necessarily said they're not going to debut theirs, but Sony, they just basically came out and said, yeah, it's true, it exists, but we're not talking about it this E3. I have speculation on the Sony thing that I'll share in a separate video, but needless to say, the landscape of console gaming may be changing by the end of this year, and it's going to be interesting, even more interesting E3 next year when that comes about, because you're going to have the Nintendo new console, the NX. You're going to have the Neo in the mix, and you're probably going to have whatever the Scorpion for Xbox is going to be in the mix. So it's going to be interesting. But still, there's still some there's a slight chance that we could see something on all three of these consoles this E3. Who knows? I know they've said they're not, but you never know. Plans change in this game. Anyway, so just wanted to talk a bit about when the conferences are going to be, and just give a brief overview of my expectations. I'll go in detail into each company with separate videos, but for now, we're just going to go ahead and just give you guys the basics. So, E3 officially starts, as always, on the Monday. It will officially start on June 13th, 9:30 a.m. Pacific time, being the first conference. But before that, two software development companies are going to do their own conferences, sort of like last year. Last year it was Square Enix and Bethesda. Although no, Square Enix did theirs on the day of E3. So this time, Bethesda is being joined by EA. EA's decided to drop out of their traditional slot, separate themselves sort of from E3 by holding their event at a venue that's not on the E3 venue, as well as do a all week long event off-site. They're not going to have a booth. They're going to do everything on their own terms, away from E3, close but not at E3. So EA is going to have the first press conference at 12:30 Pacific time, PM, and that is going to, well, no, it's at 1 p.m. I'm looking at this schedule, and they have a pre-show set up at 12:30, but at 1 p.m. Pacific time, that's when EA's show on June 12th. Then at 7 p.m. Pacific time, Bethesda is going to be doing their show. What these two are going to have, who knows? I mean, we kind of know what EA is going to have. We kind of expect Mass Effect Andromeda. You expect to see some Battlefield gameplay. Probably announcing the next Star Wars game coming through the pipeline, since they have that license. Of course, you're going to see the sports titles. They're going to get their run. But beyond that, not sure what E3 is going to show. Would be interesting if they had some new IPs, some new ideas to put out there. But who knows what they're going to show beyond the basics. Bethesda, kind of the same thing. Bethesda last year was a perfect thing for them because they were able to put out Fallout 4, which is something that a lot of people were anticipating, and they were able to ride that wave and get a lot of sales on that game. They announced Doom, which has been a big success. Well, they didn't announce it, Doom. Let me rephrase that. They showed Doom in detail for the first time, and it's something that they announced before but never really gave attention to, and they got a big pop off of that. Dishonored 2 was announced, so that's coming. But beyond that, what do we have? Most likely they're gonna do another Elder Scrolls game, something to follow up Skyrim. I know some people want Skyrim 2, but they tend to just change the names and go with the sequels. You know, you had Morrowind, and you had was it Oblivion? I think that's what it calls. So they tend to like change the name. If they do a Skyrim 2, okay, but you can definitely expect another RPG coming from them. And again, beyond that, not sure what they're going to show, so that'll be interesting to see. But moving on, we go to the official start of E3 with Microsoft leading off at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time with their press conference. What are we going to see from Microsoft? I do think that they probably are going to do the console announcement, just to get out there and, you know, get it out in the open, because, you know, Sony's had the leaked rumored press, and so that's been in the name. I think Microsoft kind of wants to get in the picture now, especially since we had the quote unquote leaked rumors about the Scorpion and all that put out there. So I expect them to do a full on announcement. I don't think it's the right time to do it, but that's just me. Again, I know there's some people who will be more than willing to get this thing. Gears will probably show up. What Microsoft needs to do, though, is they need to show all these other IPs that they announced, like Crackdown and things like that. What about some of the other stuff that you announced back when you announced the Xbox One? Is it still being worked on? Are there new IPs? You know, Microsoft can't keep falling back now on Halo and Forza and Gears. They're still well liked and have good fan bases, but they may be, burning the treads off the tires, so to speak, on those franchises for people. Some new stuff would be great, and not third-party exclusives. some first party exclusives would be really great. Crackdown needs to be shown, by the way. Crackdown hasn't really been talked about. That was one of the games that they put out there that lauded all the abilities of the Xbox One. They lauded the whole power of the cloud and what the Xbox One can do with it, blah, blah, blah. That needs to be shown. That game's been hidden too long. It has to like get an audience, definitely. But yeah, definitely would like to see some more new first party IPs from Microsoft, and they have a few that they can put out, to be quite honest. Next up, of course, you have Sony. I'm skipping ahead. Next up, you have Ubisoft, who's going to be at 1 p.m. Pacific time. Ubisoft always has a ton of games. They're going to show you probably Ghost Recon Wildlands. You're going to see For Honor. You're going to see the next Assassin's Creed, which isn't coming out until next year, I'm sure. But you're going to see Watch Dogs now. They probably show gameplay since they've already announced the game itself and the date that it's coming out. So it was a smarter move for them to do it this way, because last time it was announced when the consoles launched and we had to wait a couple of years, and then it came through the next E3 and they just did some more stuff, and like that in the Division we saw the downgrades that people got really upset about, and they just kind of killed the momentum on both of those games. Plus the fact that both of those games, while they're not bad games, weren't anything spectacular, I guess you could say. So yeah, they definitely have to make sure that what they show is a home run and is going to be what it is going to be, because they're kind of slipping reputation wise, definitely slipping. But I expect to see at least 3 more new IPs, because that's what they do. They announce a lot of games. They have a ton of studios all over the world. That's Ubisoft. Ubisoft can put out a ton of content, for better or for worse. It's not always the best thing, but they always I will say this: when it comes to new IPs, they are one of the companies that push that envelope very well, and I appreciate that for them. Sometimes it gets to the point where they got so many IPs that you just have so many sequels as well eventually, but it's nice to know that they have that a diverse background. Just wish the quality would follow it. Now, lastly, Sony, which is going to be at 6 p.m. Pacific time. Sony, well, they've gotten the Neo out. They've spoke on it, and they said they're just going to leave it alone. I think their focus is going to be VR, which isn't going to please a lot of people, but that's coming out this year. It's coming out in late October, early November, something like that. So they got to sell it. They got to sell that hardware. They got to have people, the 40 plus million Sony PlayStation 4 owners buy into that deal. They have to show it to be a viable platform that has good quality games, not just experiences to play. And yeah, they have to treat it. They have to treat it right. They have to give it its due, definitely. It's probably going to get a good amount of the first half of their show. Then, of course, they have their first party thing. Now, while I think that they still are better off than Microsoft when it comes to the first party department, only because they have so many first party IPs that already exist and have been or are probably in development. They're able to float a little bit more on that. That being said, they haven't been releasing them with a frequency that a lot of people think they need to, and they're going to have to probably get out in front on that. They've just delayed Horizon Zero Dawn, so now everybody's like, well, they said Last Guardian is coming out this year. Okay, cool, that's one, but what else? Because they've had Uncharted. Can't think of what else that came out first party, but Ratchet and Clank, but it's been few and far between for that. So people are going to be wondering. There's going to be Sony fans that's going to be nervous, because one of the things that Sony kind of always put out there is that they have a lot of first party support, and you haven't seen that much for this generation. So are they going to announce new games, first party games that are going to come this year, not just stuff that's coming next year? They have to like start, I guess, scheduling their games better in a release so people could feel like they are really you know, behind their first party still. You do have Gran Turismo, I just remember that, so that's 2 first party. But something, I think at least 1 or 2 more first party games will be released this year and announced. We'll see though, we'll see. Me personally, I don't think they have to rush them out, but they do have to speak on them. They do have to definitely let us know if Bend is doing something. What's Santa Monica doing? I guess we got the God of War 4, which I kind of don't want. I kind of want Santa Monica to do something new. A lot of people are banking on Naughty Dog coming with a new Last of Us again, rather than do something new. But okay. And there's just a few other studios out there that people are waiting for announcements from. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see how Sony's going to work their press conference. I think there's going to be a surprise hardware wise though, and I'll go into detail of that later, but I think there is going to be a surprise hardware wise. They're going to throw a swerve in the whole upcoming upgraded console thing, I think, but we'll see. So that's basically E3 in a nutshell. Again, I will be doing separate videos to give each company their due. If you have any ideas or thoughts on what you think is going to happen in E3, please share them in the comment section. I'm curious to see what you guys think about it. Alright, as always, feel free to hit me up and let me know what you think, and I'll holler at you later. This your boy Black Makers, and I'm out. Deuces.